Picture this. It's late at night. The house is completely quiet, and you are just sitting there, staring at a to-do list you confidently wrote down hours ago.
I mean, we have all been there.
Right. And right there, sitting at the very bottom, is that one single task. You know the exact one I'm talking about.
Yep, the one you've been actively ignoring all day.
Exactly. You haven't done it, and you tell yourself, well, it's fine, I'll just do it tomorrow. But notice what happens next.
You don't actually feel relieved, do you?
No, not at all. Instead of feeling relieved that you've rescheduled it, this heavy, invisible weight just settles onto your shoulders. Your brain flat out refuses to let the undone project go.
It's like a computer program running in the background.
Yes, a program you just can't close. And it's draining your mental battery, leaving you operating at a completely suboptimal capacity. You are technically resting on the couch, but you are absolutely exhausted.
It's so strange because we are the ones putting that weight on our own shoulders. I mean,
Yeah.
why do we intentionally ruin our own free time with guilt over the things we are choosing not to do?
Welcome to the Missing Lessons, where we explain what school never did. You see, putting things off isn't just simple laziness.
Right, it's way more complicated than that.
It really is. It's a complex psychological trap that quietly sabotages your daily goals, your physical health, and ultimately your future. Today, we are decoding the hidden mechanics of procrastination and how to finally break free.
If you're enjoying the Missing Lessons, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a rating, and share it with someone who might find it interesting. It helps us create more episodes and reach more curious minds.
So, to really understand this behavioral loop, we have to completely shatter a very persistent myth. Most people assume that chronic delay is a time management issue.
Like they just need a better calendar app or a new planner.
Exactly. They think if they schedule their day down to the minute, they will miraculously stop struggling. But if we look closely at human behavior, time management has almost nothing to do with it. This is entirely about mood management.
Right, mood management. So it's an emotional thing.
Yes, that is the critical distinction here. Procrastination is a self-defeating behavior where we trade long-term success for short-term emotional relief.
Oh, wow. So when we avoid a task, we aren't actually avoiding the work itself. We're just avoiding the feeling attached to it.
Precisely. We put things off because the task itself triggers fear, boredom, or a really profound sense of anxiety. Your brain's threat detection center, the amygdala, perceives that negative emotion as an immediate, literal threat to your well-being.
So we are literally running away from an emotion, treating, I don't know, a spreadsheet or a pile of laundry like it's a physical predator.
In a neurological sense, yes. The amygdala sounds the alarm and actually overpowers your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical planning part of your brain.
And your brain just wants immediate relief from that threat.
Right. And the fastest, easiest way to get that relief is to simply say, I will deal with this tomorrow. The moment you make that decision, your anxiety plummets.
You get that tiny rush of dopamine and you suddenly feel better.
Exactly. But it's a dangerous trap. That relief is entirely temporary, and you've just reinforced a neural pathway that teaches your brain that avoidance equals safety.
I want to look at how we justify this to ourselves, because we rarely admit that we are just running away from feeling bad.
No, we come up with all sorts of disguises for it. And it seems like one of those common disguises is perfectionism.
Oh, people love to say they are just a perfectionist, like it's a badge of honor.
Yeah, as if caring too much is their tragic flaw. But if you strip away the ego, perfectionism isn't a strength at all. It is literally just fear in a tailored suit.
Because it's about protecting our identity.
Right,
You know?
absolutely. We delay starting a project because we secretly lack faith in our own abilities. We're terrified that what we produce won't match the flawless version we've pictured in our heads.
So if you write the essay or start the business and it turns out to be just mediocre, you have to face your actual limitations.
Yes, and that is painful. But if you never start, your potential remains perfect and infinite in your mind. Subconsciously, we decide that protecting our ego by not starting is safer than risking a failure.
And so we tell ourselves, well, I'm just waiting for the perfect moment, or I'm waiting for a magical bolt of inspiration to strike.
Which is a huge trap.
Hmm.
Because here's the reality check.
Yeah.
Amateurs wait for inspiration to strike. Everyone else just shows up and gets to work. Quantity produces quality.
That makes so much sense. But, I mean, if the underlying cause is this deep fear and emotional avoidance, does this affect everyone equally? Or are some people just more prone to it?
It definitely does not affect everyone equally.
Yeah.
There is a specific demographic that gets caught in this trap way more than others.
Oh, really? Who is it?
Well, the people who struggle with this the most are young adults between the ages of 14 and 29.
Wait, 14 to 29, that's a huge window.
It is. About a quarter of the general adult population chronically procrastinates, but for students in that age range, it is a staggering 50%.
Half of all students. Wait, so do we just naturally outgrow it as we get older?
Sort of, yeah. As we age, we develop a personality trait called conscientiousness. But more profoundly, older people become aware of their own mortality.
Meaning, they realize time is actually limited.
Exactly. They realize time is a strictly limited resource. Whereas young people, they view time abstractly. They feel like there's always a limitless supply of tomorrows waiting for them.
I can see how having an infinite supply of tomorrows would make it so easy to just delay everything, especially in a structured environment like school.
Oh, absolutely. And that leads to what we can call the student trap.
Oh,
Let's look at the timeline of a typical semester because it's fascinating.
okay. How does it start?
Well, early in the semester, a procrastinator actually feels great. They have significantly lower stress levels, and they actually get sick less often than their peers who are grinding away in the library.
Well, sure, because they are riding high on that short-term relief. They're sleeping in and avoiding the hard work.
Exactly. Yeah. But the deadline is a fixed reality. And as it approaches, that accumulated stress doesn't just make them feel nervous, it triggers a massive physiological cascade.
Like a huge spike in panic.
Yes, and that massive sudden spike in panic floods the body with cortisol, which effectively destroys their immune system. So the student ends up getting physically ill, and their grades tank right when they need to perform.
That is so sneaky. Because the initial relief actually reinforces the bad behavior, making it a dangerous cycle for the next semester.
It is a devastating loop. And chronic procrastination links to serious mental health struggles, too. It goes way beyond just getting a bad grade on a term paper.
What kind of mental health struggles? It's like ADHD.
Yes, ADHD is a major one. The ADHD brain is chronically understimulated, so it constantly hunts for dopamine. It will hyperfixate on some things like video games while avoiding mundane responsibilities because those tasks just don't provide the dopamine needed to initiate action.
What about depression? I often hear people confuse avoiding things with symptoms of depression.
With depression, it is best to think of the brain as an engine trying to start with a completely dead battery. It doesn't matter how badly you want to do the task, you just have zero energy to start.
So the physical energy to bridge the gap between intention and action just isn't there?
Right. And the cruel irony is that the guilt of not starting pushes you deeper into depression. And similarly, with extreme anxiety, the brain experiences cognitive overload. The fear of negative outcomes is so terrifying that the brain effectively shuts down to protect itself.
Resulting in total paralysis.
Exactly. But let's bring this out of the clinical realm and ground it in everyday mundane life, because it happens in the most ordinary situations too.
Like what? What's a normal everyday example?
Think about putting off paying a simple bill. It takes maybe 3 minutes to do. But the thought of logging into the bank account causes a tiny, almost unnoticeable spike of financial anxiety.
So you avoid it and just doom scroll on social media for an hour instead because the environment is too distracting.
Yes. And that perfectly illustrates friction costs. Doom scrolling is low friction, high reward. Paying the bill is high friction, negative reward. The brain naturally flows like water down the path of least resistance.
But this behavior becomes truly dangerous when we apply it to our physical health, right?
Oh, incredibly dangerous. Think about someone avoiding scheduling a medical test because they are terrified of a potential diagnosis.
So they delay it to avoid the anxiety of finding out.
Exactly. They are completely unaware that by delaying the test, they are actually increasing their physical risk. The avoidance creates the very disaster they are afraid of.
And this habit probably doesn't just stay isolated. It must impact your daily routine, like work or family life.
It absolutely bleeds into everything. When you are chronically avoiding important things, you start resenting normal daily activities. You feel strangely angry about having to do the dishes, or you resent waking up on time.
Have you ever noticed this in your own life? Have you ever felt strangely angry about doing a routine chore just because you were secretly putting off something totally unrelated?
It's a classic projection. Unchecked procrastination makes you feel helpless and angry, so you project that frustration onto everything else.
Because you know you aren't in control of your own actions.
And if we zoom out to look at the big picture here, we start to see why this is the ultimate bottleneck for human behavior and success.
It's the greatest enemy to producing meaningful work.
It really is, because it robs you of the process. The path to success in our careers, our economy, and our society is rarely glamorous. It is mundane and it is repetitive.
So underachievers waste their lives daydreaming about a big break, waiting to be magically discovered.
Yes, while actively avoiding the actual work.
Uh,
But true achievers embrace the daily, unsexy grind.
And if unchecked procrastination doesn't stay in its lane, it ruins everything. If you lose focus in your work, it bleeds into your finances, your diet, and your relationships.
It's a massive ripple effect. So the obvious question is how we override this human glitch. How do you actually become a doer instead of someone who constantly delays?
Yeah, we definitely need some actionable advice here. How do we fix this?
Well, the first piece of advice is the 15-minute rule. The trick is to just start. Stop overanalyzing and tell yourself you will only do the dreadful task for 15 minutes.
Does that actually work? Like knowing I only have to do it for 15 minutes?
It does because it manipulates your brain's threat assessment. Usually, taking that very first step breaks the mental block. You lower the perceived threat level, and the momentum naturally carries you forward.
Oh, I see. Once you start, your brain actually kind of wants to finish it.
Exactly. Which brings us to a second, deeply related strategy. Shrink the monster.
Because overwhelm causes paralysis, right?
Right. If your brain sees a project as a massive threatening beast, it will trigger that avoidance response. So you break the massive project down into ridiculously small, manageable chunks.
So small that your brain registers the task as safe.
Yes. Don't put write report on your list. Put open document and type the title. And the third piece of advice is to build a routine over motivation.
Because motivation is basically a myth, isn't it?
It really is. It comes and goes depending on your mood or how much you slept. You cannot rely on it. You need to build a schedule where doing the hard work is just part of your daily routine.
So you don't waste energy deciding whether or not to work today.
Precisely. It's about decision fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to decide to work every single day, you exhaust your brain before you even begin. A routine makes it automatic.
Okay, what about our environment? Like our phones are always right there.
That's advice number 4, environmental control. You need to designate a specific workspace and physically put your phone in another room.
So you artificially increase the friction of the bad habit.
Exactly. Make the distraction hard to reach. And the final strategy, which usually sounds a bit soft, is to practice self-compassion.
Wait, really? Shouldn't we be tough on ourselves for putting things off?
No, because you aren't lazy, you are just stressed. When you brutally criticize yourself, you generate guilt and shame, which are negative emotions that immediately restart the avoidance loop.
Oh, so you literally make yourself more likely to avoid the task again tomorrow.
Yes. But when you forgive yourself for delaying, you power down that threat response, and you can finally step forward and get to work.
Here's a question for you. What is the one major task you are putting off right now? And what hidden emotion, whether it's fear, boredom, or anxiety, is secretly keeping you from starting? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
To summarize all of this, procrastination is an emotional regulation issue, not a moral failing. We use it to dodge temporary discomfort, but it costs us our health, our time, and our true potential.
It's a really heavy price to pay for a moment of relief.
It is. And the most dangerous part of all is the lies we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, the only real difference between someone who completely quits and a habitual procrastinator is that the procrastinator is lying to themselves.
They tell themselves, I'll do it tomorrow.
Exactly. They pretend they haven't given up, but they are letting their goals slip away. Don't let tomorrow rob you of today.
If you enjoyed this episode of The Missing Lessons, don't forget to follow the podcast, leave a rating, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us continue exploring the topics school never taught us.